Okay, you guys, welcome to the Ranting Shop. It's me, Melissa. I'm here to quickly discuss the Never Ever Met Season 1, Episode 6, Pushing Beds and Boundaries. And we're just gonna do a really quick rundown of everything that took place. We're gonna do it in regards to events as opposed to couples, because in regards to this particular episode, we didn't see much of Shay and Josh. We didn't see much of we saw a bit of Diamond and Aaron, but it wasn't that much. We didn't quite see much of Aaron and Jodie either. And it's really interesting that in this episode, I thought, oh yeah, well, Jodie's friend did come. Okay, so anyways, let's talk about the things that we saw. So firstly, Diamond and Aaron, the fight with the sister. We know that that's not really Diamond's sister, as per what Aaron said on Crystal Exo's channel. Either way it goes, the way he decided to indulge her in argument was not, it didn't look good, it didn't sound good, it wasn't the best choice. But I understand that when somebody disrespects you, you feel the need to want to disrespect them back. Now, this is an unpopular opinion. I do not agree that men and women should not verbally, but physically fight. But I do agree that if someone disrespects you, it is your right to defend yourself. If you feel that defending yourself means disrespecting the person back, albeit, like, to me, that's fair. If you disrespect me, I should be allowed to disrespect you back, because you invited that energy. And I'm just defending myself, right? But it looked as if he wanted to hit her. He probably did not intend to, but that's what it looked like. And Diamond was stuck in the middle. What do I do? Do I side with my friend? Do I side with my man? And my thing about the situation with Diamond's friend is that if your friend is happy with Aaron, let her be. Let her be, please. Like, I feel like you're overstepping your boundaries, going to the extent of disrespecting the man because you don't think he's good enough for Diamond. It almost feels like you want to run him away because you want to keep Diamond to yourself. If Diamond feels like that's the man for her, Diamond is a grown woman and she's able to make her own decisions. If Aaron ends up being the worst guy for her, that's her lesson to learn. I don't think it makes sense to be more angry with a grown woman for the choices that she makes. If she's happy, you should be understanding at least and supportive as her friend. So that happened. Aaron is explaining to his friend that it started with he's explaining to Diamond, it started with the look in her eyes. She gave me a side eye, and then from that everything went left. And children were brought in. To me, that was unnecessary. And he's basically saying, if we're having an argument, you're insulting me and I'm insulting you, that's fine, but don't bring up my children. That's an ideal world, because typically when people start throwing insults at each other, it becomes a battle of the insults, like who's gonna cut the deepest with their words. And I think that's what she attempted to do. She talked about these children, she talked about his mom, and it wasn't a very good look on either side. I feel like she wanted Aaron to not engage with her in the disrespect, but then if you disrespect him first, you cannot expect that he will keep his mouth shut. And for a man that paints his fingernails, it doesn't shock me one bit that he decided to go toe-to-toe with you, you know? So he apologizes to Diamond, and Diamond is like, okay, I guess I'll accept it for now. At least he is apologizing, and that's big of him to do. I don't think an apology is a big person thing. I think it's just a mature thing. Like, you do something wrong, you apologize. Anyway, that's the extent of Diamond and Aaron's thing in this episode. Then we go to the situation with Chris and Chris and Millie. Because of Greg wanting them to resolve their issue from the previous episode, he wanted Chris to sit down with Millie and have a discussion about, I guess, how to resolve their miscommunication. Chris is approaching the situation to me very good off the bat, very calmly. He's stating everything factually. Okay, this is what happened. You did this, you said this. Okay, and I felt this way. And Millie is saying, yes, I did call you a... Actually, she never called him a B. She said he's acting like a B. He's being a B. I think she was speaking more so on his actions as opposed to him as an individual. But she never clarified it. But in the playback, she didn't actually call him one. But either way, it's disrespectful. He stated he felt disrespected. And I don't think she attempted to apologize at that point. I think she attempted to prove to him why she's right in or justified in her actions. And I think he just went left from there. He got upset, and I think he did call her a name. Not at that moment did he call her the S word. I think he called her that later on. But it you know, snowballed into a bigger thing. And he goes to Greg and he's like, I tried to be respectful to her, but she's being disrespectful to me. She called me B multiple times. And then she walks in. Greg is holding her back and she's coming at it on 10. And at that moment, I think it became a lost cause. There's no reason at that moment to have a logical conversation, because it just is not gonna go that way. Because she's not trying to be logical in this situation. She's trying to be right. She's trying to overpower everything. She's trying to talk over everybody. So just let it be. And then at that point is when the S word comes out, which was disrespectful on Chris's part. Nothing she has done has warranted that word to be called to her. But anyways, he wanted to hit her hard because he felt very disrespected. So that situation happened. Greg is being given the clean version of events. Oh, I was telling him this and he didn't want to take accountability for his actions and yada yada yada. But then she doesn't say what she did. You know, she doesn't say what she did wrong and how her approach led to the argument that took place. And I think it's only mature and it only makes sense to retell things when you say what you did in the situation. If you're only giving me what he did but not what you did, it's kind of like this one-sided thing. And a mature person would be like, okay, I want to hear from his side of things. And technically Greg did hear from, you know, Chris's side. Greg in this situation gives me Nkateko vibes from the Ultimatum South Africa, where they're kind of scared of their women. Like when the woman takes the masculine energy, it's like the men naturally submit. They go into this feminine way of being, like very quiet, very timid, very like, okay, let me try to calm her down. She's on 10 right now. And I don't know, there's something unsettling about watching a woman dominate a man in a way, like, ew. So Chris is talking to Aaron and Sandia about the whole altercation, and he doesn't understand why she hates him to this extent. And he thinks it's because he looks good, is what he said. Like she must be really attracted to Chris. Now I don't know the psychology behind that. There could be some truth to it, but if Millie doesn't say that's what it is, then I cannot say that's what it is. But anyways, so that happens. Aaron cracks a joke because technically he was wearing Sandia's coat. So yeah, that was funny. Then Sandia speaks to Millie and she's essentially telling Millie, she speaks up. And she tells Millie, yes, I mean, you said this, but I think at the end of the day, you should be respectful and not hurl insults if you don't want to be insulted. That's essentially what Sandia was saying. And it's true. As I said before, if you don't want to be called bees and derogatory words, then don't lead with calling people derogatory words. You could only get what you dish out. And that's what she dished out. Okay, and so the friends come. So we see Chris's father comes. Not Chris, oh my goodness. Aaron's father comes, and they play pool together, and he's talking to his father about, oh, Jodie's a sexologist, and the dad is like, oh, and basically Aaron is like, it's intimidating. He doesn't know like if he'd be able to perform because he's thinking she probably is overly critical, and the father is like, that's okay, like you've learned from women before, like take it as a plus that she's a sexologist, and you could move forward with that. Now, in my opinion, when I saw this clip play on their own channel, I was like, this is so bogus to me, because it's very clear that Aaron is intimidated by Jodie, and not once have I ever seen any man that's intimidated by a woman be sexually into her. To me, it's more like fear as opposed to a sexual thing. Like, maybe some people have kinks where they are sexually attracted to people they're scared of. That's okay. But to me, he's talking like he's brave and like he can handle Jodie, knowing fully well he's afraid, extremely afraid of Jodie, like extremely afraid of touching her even, because he doesn't know what her reaction would be. And in the past, her reaction has been over the top, and I don't think he really wants that. Neither is he interested in that reaction, so he kind of keeps to himself and he's very timid. Do I think that it would ever make sense if they tried to do anything sexually? No, because Jodie would not allow it. And anyways, Jodie's friend comes and they talk, and she's telling her, yeah, does it people think we're supposed to be a certain way with people we like we're supposed to be all up in their face, we're supposed to be kissing them, and we're supposed to be touching them. I'm not that way, and my trauma did this and my trauma did that. And at the end of the day, I will continue to say this: Jodie is making excuses. She does not like Aaron, right? And she's telling their friend, oh, I'm a man eater. I normally just sleep with these men and discard them, never talk to them again. And I don't want to do this time. But for me, with Jodie, I think the audience knows the difference between a woman not wanting to repeat a toxic pattern because she cares about the partner she has, or a woman not wanting to repeat a toxic pattern because she's not interested. She's using it as an excuse because she's not interested in a guy. And in this case, it's very clear that Jodie is not interested in Aaron. So she's using her traumas and her the past ways that she's dealt with men and relationships and intimacy as a barrier to entry for Aaron, because she does not like Aaron. And I think we're just about sick of Jodie and Aaron acting as if they have something and they have this chemistry and all this stuff when they don't have anything. And Jodie sees the father, and to me, this is the first time I saw Jodie be excited. This is the first time I saw Jodie even being a little bit interested in a guy beside Chris. And it was Aaron's dad. It's not even Aaron, it's Aaron's father. And I think what further made her interested in Aaron's father is that salsa dancing, because he could actually dance. Whereas Aaron is trying to portray somebody that he's not for him to get Jodie. And that does not move Jodie. It doesn't interest Jodie. It doesn't make Jodie want him. Jodie doesn't quite care that Aaron is trying, because she doesn't care for him. The dad is like, oh, he's trying. Give him a chance. Don't make it so difficult for him. She's only doing this because she doesn't want your son. And what really boggled my mind was the other Aaron putting his mouth in these people's business again. Like, didn't you learn from the whole situation with Diamond? in Sandy and Chris's business. Like, it's shocking that he didn't take the cue and decide to mind his business after that. So he's out of place. Aaron's father is there. This man decides, okay, this is a perfect time for me to tell Aaron's dad that Jodie is not the girl for his son. And I do understand. It's true. We all see it. But it's not your place. And he's like, oh, I like Aaron. I just don't think that Jodie is the right person for him. And me and your dad were the same age. So, and the dad is like listening. And the dad is basically like, how is that your concern? Like, mind your business. That's what essentially the dad is thinking. And Aaron is also like, yeah, mind your business. And so, yeah, Aaron, we do see that they're fake, but you have to let them play out their own fake storyline situation. So then they all meet and everything, and the friend is like, that's why they mad, because that's the realest couple in the house. If that friend has watched the entire episode, the entire season thus far, I'm pretty sure she'd eat her words at this point. I'm pretty sure she would be embarrassed that she even said that, because there's no way that there's chemistry there. And people are like, you guys obviously have chemistry. Where? I'm not seeing it. Is the chemistry in the room with us? Because I don't see the chemistry. I just see that, okay, the most they could be are friends. And I don't even think Jodie wants Aaron to be her friend. Jodie doesn't even care for Aaron in that manner. I think Jodie just wants him to leave her alone. Let's do this. Let's finish this experience as friends, and that's it. And what really pissed me off is like the guys are talking and they're like, okay, we have less people in the house, so we have more space. So that means there's a possibility where it's like we can sleep next to our women. And so they're saying there's no need for me to be sleeping with my woman and then for another guy to be farting and snoring next to us. Like, they're basically telling Chris, go ahead and sleep next to Jodie. So he goes and he's like, okay, I'm gonna try it. And he attempts to push the bed and sleep next to Jodie. Right? Jodie is like, I didn't feel comfortable. You invaded my boundaries. I didn't want this. I told you about my trauma before. I said this is making me very uncomfortable. I do not sleep with men. I don't want men to sleep next to me. And you kissed me on my forehead and I reacted the way I reacted. You know me more than these men. So why would you make them kind of bully you into doing this when you know me? And she basically scolded him. And he's like, well, typically I don't let people peer pressure get to me, but blah 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 blah, and rah 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 rah. And he's essentially saying, okay, I'm not gonna do this again. I'm sorry, you could bet on that. So it's like he's talking to his dad about taking it to the next step with Jodie when he knows fully well that's not gonna happen ever. That's not gonna happen throughout the duration of this episode, this season. I don't think intimacy is ever gonna happen between Jodie and Aaron. And she gives him just a little bit. I'll let you touch my hand. She's giving him just a little bit so he thinks that he has a chance. But I don't want to think Aaron is that stupid, you guys. I do not want to think that Aaron is that stupid. And the bigger Aaron is telling him, everybody is telling him and seeing, and well, mostly Aaron and Diamond, well, mostly Aaron is telling him, and he's just choosing to ignore. And before, I used to think that maybe he's doing it because he knows, but he doesn't want people to know. And now I'm thinking it's not that he doesn't want people to know necessarily, it's that maybe he genuinely thinks him and Jodie have no problem. He genuinely thinks that the way him and Jodie are going about this thing is perfectly normal. I don't believe that, but that's what I'm thinking it is at this point. So that occurred. She goes to the guys and she's like telling Chris, and I think it was Josh in the kitchen, yeah, I didn't like that he did this, because I'm like, you know me, these guys don't know me. And at that point she chooses to tell the other men, yes, I've been sexually assaulted, I've been raped, and that makes me extremely uncomfortable. And at that point Chris apologizes to her and he's like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know this, and we didn't do this because, you know, out of malice or anything. We did this thinking it would be a good thing, but he apologized, you know. So I don't know, we'll continue to see them play in our faces. So the boys are having a talk at the pool, and Aaron is saying that Diamond is perfect for him, but Chris doesn't quite understand the concept of someone being perfect for somebody else. He feels like he only heard perfect, and to him there's no perfect person. So he's like, that's impossible. But I think when somebody says someone is perfect for them, what they mean is not that the person is perfect, it's that that person fits them. That person, they understand that person. So even if they may do something that may not be the most perfect thing, but it doesn't bother the right person, it doesn't affect the right person. I think that's what Aaron is saying. And Chris is like, no, like Diamond is perfect, like, that's a lie. And I think he completely missed the mark. Clearly he doesn't share the sentiment of someone being perfect for somebody else. But when it comes to the understanding of that could be true, he'll get it. And he says he's gonna propose to Diamond. I do believe he is gonna do that. I in fact still think that Diamond and Aaron are together in a relationship. I think they're quite similar to each other. They definitely like to come in the comment section and fight with people. I think for grown people, I think it's not a very attractive quality to want to fight people. Like, people have their opinions, and if you guys don't want people to have opinions on you, don't come on reality shows. Because I think people only see reality shows for the cameras, the lights, and the little bit of change they get for their appearance being on TV, but they don't consider the backlash of their actions. Like, if you guys don't consider things in totality, don't do it, because you're gonna always be in people's comment section fighting them for their opinions. So Millie and Greg are talking, and of course this episode was about Millie's trauma. Greg also has trauma as well, and Millie is telling Greg, like, I don't want to be masculine, I want to be feminine, but I can't. It's simply because she doesn't feel comfortable. She doesn't feel comfortable enough in this relationship. Maybe it's because she doesn't know him enough physically, like on a face-to-face basis, to be able to confide in him and let him lead. She doesn't trust that he could lead her. She doesn't trust that he could be the man she wants, which is why she's continuing to be masculine. And I think based on what we've seen of Greg thus far, I haven't seen masculine on him since the day I saw him. So it's like I understand where Millie's coming from. And based on his conversation with his mom, it doesn't seem as if Greg has been this alpha man that leads. It seems like he's been the man to leech off women, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I think there's a bit of justification in Millie feeling the need to continue to be strong for herself, because she doesn't feel like anybody is strong enough to hold her up. So Greg and Millie are talking to the therapist and laying out their traumas. So firstly, Millie's talking about her experience, and she's essentially saying she was hard and everything like that. And the therapist, she's explaining that she does not want her trauma to affect her partner. But it's very ironic, because that is exactly what the trauma is doing. Clearly, because of her trauma, she's created this really difficult barrier between her and Greg. And I feel like, I think another person said it as well, Everybody was so baffled as to why it is that both Millie and Greg live in California, but they've never met. They're 30 minutes away from each other and they've never met. And somebody said they think it was Millie. After this, I'm sure it was Millie. Millie is avoidant at this moment. She is avoiding a deeper connection because she sees herself reverting back to a weaker version of herself, a version that is unable to protect herself. So in that situation, in that case, Greg is a threat, right? And the way she handles threats is she stays on 10. She's ready to argue. She's ready to fight at all times. Even him, that is and has been showing us as viewers, and I'm pretty sure showing her as well, I'm here for you. I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to be there for you. She does not buy it. So while she discussed her trauma, being in LA, following crowd she's not supposed to follow, she ended up in a situation where she was taken advantage of. Right. Greg wants in that moment to let her know, I am there with you. I sympathize with you. I understand you. Right. But he's doing it by stating he has trauma too, right? I've also had stuff I've not talked about, which I guess we'll hear about in the next episode. And she immediately gets upset and annoyed at him because how dare you, Greg, speak on your trauma when right now we're speaking on my trauma, right? And I feel like in that situation, she's showing herself to be extremely self-centered, and I almost feel like this relationship would be or will be one-sided because it's only gonna be about Millie and how Millie feels. How you feel is irrelevant to Millie, right? She's trying so hard to be feminine in the relationship that I don't think she wants to see a soft side, a hurt side, or a traumatized side of a man. I think she sees men as strong and as capable beings. And I think she's annoyed. Like, how dare you and I have the same trauma? Can I not be and have this for myself? Like, it almost seems as if the trauma identifies her. The trauma defines her. The trauma is who she is. So how dare you have the same thing I have? So now I'm not special. My trauma is not special. I'm not gonna be important in this relationship because you have a similar issue that I have. So how's this gonna work? Kind of thing. Like, I'm busy trying to heal. I want you to help me heal. I don't want you to have your own trauma that you're busy healing from, because it's gonna mean that you're not gonna have time to help me heal my own trauma. It's kind of weird, but that's how I'm seeing it. And as the therapist said, they're both trying to show up for themselves with their individual traumas, and I know Millie is saying she does not want to drag Greg through her issues and stuff, but that is literally exactly what she's doing. And even the outburst that she had, like, how dare you say that you had issues too? Like, can this not just be about me? I saw it as very selfish. And I saw it as someone that wants to be in a one-sided relationship where she's babied and coddled, where, everything is about her, but then she doesn't show that same care and respect for the man because she doesn't think men need it. That's why she comes so hard at Chris. She doesn't think men need the same amount of respect and care as a woman does, as she does. So I think there's a frustration with it, like a battle of battling of the trauma, battling of the person that has the most trauma. And it doesn't have to be a competition. Everybody has trauma. So anyways, next episode we see that Josh and Shay are coming to the front with their issue. She's talking to him about a woman that said Josh talked about wanting to sleep with her. And then we have the situation where I heard Greg is in the doghouse. We're gonna see where that's coming from. As far as Chris and Cynthia, this episode, they seem like they got along really well this particular episode. It seemed like the couple with the most issue there this episode was Jodie, Aaron, and a bit of Millie and